Well, week 2 of Skirmish Season 8 is complete, the numbers are in, and as expected, both Kassai and Kano are finally gone, which means that the big 3 are out, so it's time to see where the rest of the points are poised to fall. So let's look at the next 2 weeks, talk projections, who's poised to do well, and who else of your favorites is on the chopping block. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go again for the Week 2 check-in for Skirmish Season 8 and looking at LL projections. And that's right, my girl Kassai, she's gone, so big tear, big sigh from me. But again, that was kind of expected, and as I mentioned, I expected her to go away last Skirmish season, so I feel like this is all a bonus, so I think we got to win. It's always sad to see your hero go. This is actually my first big hero, that major hero I put a lot of time into, that will be gone. So, but many more to come, and I think we're all feeling the pain this season for sure. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, I do want to kind of do a points recap, just an overall points recap with you to put some things in context. And I want to go ahead and go back to the very beginning because there were some questions that came out last week when I mentioned some missing events and missing numbers. Okay, so at the beginning, so as of November 12th in Gem, there were 781 total skirmish events listed, 505 which were Blitz. Okay, so that is what I based all of the numbers for the season on, right? So last week when I was talking about missing numbers, some people had said, hey, well, not everything's Blitz. I know, I've accounted for that. So just make sure that you understand those are in the numbers. Okay, so again, going into the season as of November 12th, there were 2,020 points available. Okay, now, of that, 480 were week 1, 544 were week 2. So we are through week 2. And to clarify also, by week, I count up until Sunday. So the first week was technically only 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, sorry. So that it would be rolled up Monday. They actually did asterisk 1 on Chane. He actually got 504 points for one that came after posting, right? But so that means that if you are on a Monday through Thursday, your numbers would be on the next week, even though you're technically not under the ban restriction. So you could see some of that roll off, which is again what happened with Chane, why they had to update it there. Okay. Now, why I'm going through this is not just a reminder of the situation, but it's also to make you aware that if you go and you total the points that have been delivered as of, again, Monday's announcement, it's 868 points so far, okay, out of which makes 217 events. Okay, so if you go then and you look, you're like, well, that doesn't add up, and you're right, it doesn't, right? And that's why I'm saying there are some events missing. So, but are they missing or did not fire, right? That's the excellent question. So 85% of the points have delivered, which is a little interesting. I wouldn't say concerning, but it is, those points went somewhere. So either one of two things happened. Either those events converted themselves over to being a limited event, which is completely fair, could have happened, or they didn't fire, right? Now, having them not fire, having them not have enough people to fire is, I mean, that's, to be blunt, that's a bit of a concern, right? It's a bit of a concern. All right, so where we stand today, so here's the updated spreadsheet. We've, of course, hidden week 2 because week 2 is gone, and we've grayed out the 3 LL'd heroes, 2 additional. So where we stand right now is with Aria in number 1. Okay, now, to be fair, she's been in the top slot for a while and hasn't been making a ton of progress. Started the season with 377 points, and now she only has 63 points remaining. So she needs to get 5.5% of wins throughout the season and 8% this next week. This coming week, 8% of the wins, she's gone. Aria looks like she's next, right? I think that's pretty clear. Dory needs roughly 21% of the wins and 15% through the season. Okay, so that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. All right, now, if we go in and look at Dash is another top contender. She would need to get 20% of the wins this weekend and 15% the rest of the season, which is close to what Dorinthea needs. That's high, but again, remember, everything's moving around in terms of, right, we just lost the big 3, right? The big 3 going in here that were eating the majority of the points. So, I think Dash is a very legit contender in this format. I mean, I think she was anyway already. It's just she wasn't the big bad in the room. So we're looking at potentially Ira and Dash. Dorinthea, I don't know if she'll go because I think a lot of folks have been moving. I think Quicksilver is the logical place to go. I've been kind of championing that for a couple weeks. There's also DM Armada and Sloop Dupe. I saw both of them mention comments like that in the last 24 hours, that Quicksilver Prodigy is probably the easiest conversion versus going into Dorinthea. But again, the meta is changing. And to that point, let's go ahead all the way down. I think the Emperor is not going to LL this season. I mean, he could probably, actually, could he? Yes, he can, but it's not going to happen. Okay. He'll probably end up like, I don't know, high 400s probably. He'll probably be like real close, because I think the Emperor is just going to slay this weekend. He is just going to take heads, take names, right? His bad matchup is Kano, which is, I mean, for obvious reasons, is gone. Kassai was a tough one into him as well, because of the armor. Emperor's going to do things. Emperor's absolutely going to do things. And then I'm going to be very interested to see this weekend how, because of the meta shift changes, I'm going to be very curious to see if Prism pops up as well. You can see the advent of Thrones there has been doing things. She's still in 12th place. She's behind Prism, but behind OG Prism, right? But she's definitely a legitimate player in this as well. The one that I think has been has surprised me, hasn't done, not better, quote unquote, but hasn't pulled down more points, is Datadol as well. Datadol, if you can get over the variance hump, Datadol's pretty darn good. I've lost to Datadol several times in the last couple weeks. And man, when she hits, there's not a lot you can do about it. And you can do the boomstick thing and just hope for variance, or you can go more of a pistol build and kind of try and get your stuff out. But man, I'm impressed with that. And then Levia, we'll see. I mean, she's popped up, right, in 9th place now. So she's now in what we'd consider to be the top 10. Again, not really in a position to LL this season, but we talked about it going in. I'm pretty impressed with the Levia decks as it is. So I'm a little surprised that's not doing better. So we'll see how her and Rhinar, who, again, Rhinar's a very legitimate Blitz hero. He just kind of struggled into Kassai. Kassai was a pretty good one for him with all the armor she's got. And then obviously, Chane can just do Chane things. So we'll see how he does this weekend as well. And then also I do want to note, don't count out Briar. I think Briar's at what, 271 points remaining, so 13.4% of the remaining. That's quite a bit. And again, if you look in that last column there, which is 20, that's the percentage of the season total, meaning the percentage that they've won so far. And that's why, if you compare the lines, like if you go up to number 1 again and look at Ira, right, she needs 3.8% this weekend, 3.1% through week 4 cumulatively. And she's had a 3% win rate already this season. So she's basically, even with the other players there, was kind of online, kind of on track for that. So now that they're gone, there's zero chance, right? And if you go down, the other one, nobody else has really done much. You have Briar and Rhinar at like 2.3, 2.6. So that's why I speak specifically to them, is the number of points they've gotten. Well, you would expect them to do a little better, right? With the tops gone, because their bad matchups are gone. But again, Emperor, he's going to get, I'm calling it now, I think he's going to get tons of points this weekend. So anyway, that's the wrap up for the rollout. Ira more than likely gone this weekend. Dash could do it this weekend. Probably won't, but could do it this weekend. So you're probably good if you're on Dash. But man, if you are a Rhinar player, if you're a Levia player, if you are an Emperor player, or probably an Illusionist player, well, I should say a Prism player, you're probably loving life right now, because things are going to get real good these next 2 weeks. That's my take. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree. Nothing else, folks. Go Commando.